Kia ora everyone, I'm Davis, and welcome to this quick run through of the InDesign fundamentals. So we'll be just learning some basic skills of how to set up your InDesign document to get you started in InDesign. So first of all, just a little exemplar here. So this is the K Road plan from Auckland, the Waitemata local board. So it's a local board plan. And so we'll be exploring how to make some basic elements from such a report. So for example, we'll be learning how to do a chapter title, how to make elements like these, adding page numbers, and so adding columns as well to put your text and your images into those columns. Alright, so starting off, let's get straight into InDesign. So open up InDesign, go to New File. Alright, so what I would suggest is you would go to Print and go to View All Presets. Uh, Most usual layout is A3 canvas. Change it to millimeters. Uh, Landscape is the one I'm going to use right now, but you can change your orientation using these. And you can also change the width and height if you want a custom canvas. Facing pages is basically if you want facing pages like in a booklet, we'll tick that, and you can type in the amount of pages here. What you can also do is you can straight away you can put in your columns. So for me, I want 3 columns just like the exemplar, and I want a column gutter. So gutter is the spaces between the columns, as the same width as the margins. So I want it to be 12.7. So let me just change that to 12.7. And you can also change the margins, but I'm not going to change those for now. So I'll do that. You can also play around with the bleed. I'm not going to, but feel to do that if you are printing this off and you want it to be have space between the edges as a contingency, which is what bleed is. If you click on preview, which I've already selected here, you can actually see this document I'm about to create on your screen. So it's got the 3 columns, it's got the gutters, and yeah, it's A3. And I go create. Okay. I would first of all, just as a good rule of thumb, is just to save it first. So first save as. I'll just save it in my downloads for now. But yeah, please do save it into your OneDrive just to make sure it's backed up. But for this purpose of this tutorial, I'm just going to save it into my downloads. So InDesign tutorial, save. Yeah, so for your InDesign file, please, as a good practice, save it into your OneDrive or somewhere where you can access it later on. So most likely it's on OneDrive if you're using a unique computer, that is. Cool. So, just as a first good tip to do is to go onto your view, go to display performance, and make sure it's on high quality display. And that's just because the images that you put in later on may not be as clear, so it may be pixelated. So just make sure it's on the high display to show that it shows its uh, actual resolution. That's just for if your computer is a bit slow. And so if you use medium display, it means that your computer doesn't have to do so much work at rendering those out. So yeah, especially on the uni computers, just use the high display because those computers will be able to render out those higher resolution pictures. But yeah, so just make sure view display performance, it's on high so that your pictures actually show their actual resolution and are clear. Okay, So let's go through the quick. Let's see how we can add page numbers first. Um, but before that, so hopefully you should have a screen like this. You have your properties, so this is basically like the things you can do, and this will change depending on what you select. You have your pages, very important and new on InDesign that you don't have on the other Adobe programs. We have the none, we have the parent page, and so what we do in the parent page applies to all these pages below. And so these are our pages, and this is the parent page. If you don't have, you probably will have pages. If you don't have the layers, so this layers, and if you don't have the links tab, please go to Window, just like in the other Adobe programs. Go to Window and find the pages, the layers, um, and other ones you're missing, or you want to, if you want to explore the other tabs as well. But yeah, cool. So first of all, let's add some page numbers in. So double click on your parent. So this is your parent. Okay, so two pages as you can see. Let's add some page numbers in. How do I do that? So first of all, navigation, same as Adobe, other Adobe softwares, Alt and then scroll wheel to zoom in and zoom out, and then spacebar to pan, and clicking to pan. If I go to text and I draw in a text box here, okay, and I right click on it and I go to insert special character and I go to markers and I go to current page, it says A. Don't delete A, and but if I want to add a page into it, so before the A, so if I want to add page A, so page A, I can do that, but don't delete the A, please. That's just how it works. Let's go Control C, copy that, go to the other page. So that's my second page. Let's add page A here as well. Or I might actually just make that a bit smaller so it fits in better. So copy that again, and I'll get rid of this one. So just to make sure it fits in a bit better, so just in the corner here. Okay, I'll zoom out. And now if you click on any of your other pages, so right now, since these are highlighted blue, I'm working on those. But if I click on this, I'm now working on this one. And what I can see is, I can see the page numbers have appeared. So if I go to the top, page 1, zoom out. Where's our page 2 is here. Page 2, page 3, and so on and so forth. And so this is one of the good things about InDesign is that this is all automatically done for you. And say if I delete one of these pages, it should update and then update the page numbers automatically. So this is all live updates on InDesign. So there's less manual work. Okay, let's say if I want to add some elements to these pages. So if I go back to the parent page, let's say I want to add some sort of vertical elements here on our pages, just to make it more creative. So just real quickly, if I add, so I select the rectangle tool, I go over here and I use my columns as guides, and I can do just a little rectangle, just as a design element. I go to my properties, I go to fill. You can use any of these, but I'm going to use this tab, the color tab. Let's say I use like a red color. So, okay, cool, that works. I click out, also change the stroke if you want. Oops, use that. I can also go, instead of Control C, I can also go Alt and copy it like that. So just hold down Alt and click on the object, and I can just move this across. So if I use this, okay, so that's in the same position as before. My columns help me to position it properly. Cool. And now what you should realize is, if I go back to my pages, and if I go to any of my other pages, these elements should appear. So make sure you double click on this to make sure you're on that page. So if the blue is highlighted, you're on that page. So double clicking, I'm on this page. But you can see on page 1, 2, 3, it's all been done for you. Let's say I start a new chapter after page 5. So page 6, it's a new chapter. And so I should change my colors of my vertical elements to illustrate that we're going into a new chapter. How do I do that? First of all, go to double click on a parent. So both of these are selected. Right click and duplicate parent A spread. Okay, parent B, cool. So we're on parent B now. Let's change these colors to like a bluish color. Properties, fill, this color, so maybe a light blue. Yep. I click out. Um, and if I actually click on this, and if I click on right click on this square, I go to add to swatches, it will be added to the bottom of my um, first tab. So it's easier for you to select again. So that means if I go to my other element, click on it and go to the bottom, I can select the same color. And now what I can do is, so from page 6 onwards, I want this color element. So what I do is I just drag the parent page I want to be applied to the parent to that page. So I just drag those to add the parent page. So I just drag it on there, like so. Cool. All right. Okay. Cool. Cool. So that means if you scroll down to page 6 and page 7, you can see these have been added now to those pages instead of the red elements. Okay, cool. Right. How do we uh, create paragraph styles? So let's say if I go back to my page 5, for example, page 4 actually, page 4, and I want to put in a title here, introduction. How do I do this? Okay, what I would do is I'll go to properties, uh, take the text tool, draw a text box like so, type in introduction. It's probably quite tiny, but it's there. Click on it, and right now it's using my basic paragraph. And this basic paragraph was used for our page numbers. But we want to create a new paragraph style for just our chapter titles, is what we call them. So click the plus, and then let's name it chapter titles. Okay, okay, that's been added. Oops, it's just maybe we can add it one more time. All right, for some reason, sometimes even if you change the name here, it still appears as paragraph style 1. That's all right. So just select paragraph style 1 and then click on this pencil or pen, and you can change the name here in style name. So chapter titles. Um, Go to basic character formats. Let's change what we want it to be. So for me, I'm going to change the font to Arial. So Arial rig, I want it to be bold to make it stand out, and I want to make the size 36. Okay, okay, there you go. That's appeared. And so what I can do now is I can just add some text in now as well. And how do I do that? I can simply do this, draw in a text box, okay, right click on it, and I can add in some placeholder text. So fill with placeholder text, and it fills it with placeholder text. This is helps me to see how words would fit into my report so far. Okay, and I can click out. What I can also do is I can actually create a paragraph style for this, for my paragraphs. What I would do is I would just go click again. Let's try changing the style right now. So if I go paragraphs, so paragraphs, um, cool, and I click here. Oops. Now, yeah, for some reason it's not letting me change the name. It was before, but let's just go back to paragraph style 1. Click on this. We can change the name here, so just paragraphs. And we can actually base it on our chapter titles. So we can just base that on our chapter titles, but we do need to change something. So let's go back to basic character formats. We don't want it to be bold, so just regular is fine. And we can change the size to maybe 14 or 16, up to you. Okay, okay, and that's been changed. You can see here there's a red square. That means this text box is not big enough to fit all the text. There's more text below. So what I can do is I can uh, just double click on the red box. So double click, and it gives me an expanded version of the remaining text, but I can just drag that up to here. And there's still more, so I can double click on that again, and it gives me a little bit more, which I can just put down there, or I can just simply, so if I take that out, I can just drag it down like so. So just some different ways of handling that spillover text. All right, okay. And if you want to play around with these columns, simply just go to Layout and go to Margins and Columns, and you can play around with those. But we already have these for now, so we'll just stick with them. But yeah, if you do want to edit columns in the future, um, how do we add a table of contents? So let's say I have my introduction, and I have some more chapters. So let's say, so Control C, Control B. I've got another chapter here. So let's just say chapter 1, chapter 1, chapter 2 here, chapter 3 here. Just for our purposes, I'm just simply naming them just so we have a contents, just so we have some contents for our contents table of contents. Okay, cool. And let's say I want to put in my contents table of contents here on this page. Okay, how would I do that? So you would go to Layout, Table of Contents. Okay, right. You can change the title of it, content. That's all good. You can set the paragraph style. So for me, I want the paragraph. So I want this table of contents to be the same style as my chapter titles. So bold, all of those things. And I want to add my chapter titles in. So these will be my contents in my table of contents, because obviously they have the chapter titles, right? So introduction, chapter 1, chapter 2 will all be in here in my chapter titles. So add those in, and I go OK, and now I can simply make a box. So I would first, I would recommend to drag these out just to the extent of the page, so something like that. Okay, and now I can edit it. So I can click on it, put an enter here, so there's a space here, and now what I want to do is I want to highlight these. Okay, and these have, so InDesign has already gotten me the page numbers for these, and if I change these page numbers or if I change the titles, this should be updated, but I'll show you again how to do that. But first of all, highlight all of these. Go to, or right click on it. Sorry, so highlight these. Go to, was it view? Um, sorry, type, and it was tabs. Cool. Gives me a ruler, and this means what I can do is I can put my numbers, my page numbers, out to the distance I want. So for me, 350 sounds good. 350, and I want them to be separated from the text, so from introduction or whatever, by a dot. And if I just click out, oops. So if I click over here, oops. All right, so just trying that again. So highlight your chapters and your numbers, page numbers. Go to type, tabs, 3 345 space tab. Yep, it does work. For some reason, this is very glitchy on my computer. But just so type that in and then put in a dot for the leader and then click tab and hopefully it should appear. If it doesn't appear like what happened to me, what I would suggest is so highlighting the text again and just going reset indents. Okay? So just if it doesn't work for you like what happened to me, just highlight the text again and reset indents. And just be careful, the X value should always be the number and then So 345 space so millimeters. And if you keep on typing in, if it still doesn't work for you, try typing in another number. So I tried 330, 345. So if 345 doesn't work for you, reset the indents and then come back again and then type in 330 or something else, and then it might work. So for some reason, I think it just depends on the computer. But yeah, just have a go with that. But yeah, that's basically the contents panel right there. One other thing I want to mention was, so for this one, I would just suggest you reapply. So let's reapply pages parent A to these pages. So if we just apply parent A to these pages, so just okay. Let's say I want to start. So you can see here, um, the contents is page 3 because but actually you want it to be page 1 really, won't you? Because this page and the second page is actually going to be a title page, so page 1, and then maybe something else here. So how do I do that? So what we could do is we go to our page that we want to be page 1. So for me it's page 3. So double click on that, right click on it, and then go um, numbering and section options, and then click on this one, start page numbering at number 1. Okay, click OK, and this will come up, and once you click OK, it should be alright. And you can see page 1 has appeared, and everything else should be in order as well. Okay, page 2. What we want to do now as well is we still want to take away this because it still says page 2 here. So how do we do that? We apply the none. So we applied none. So this is our none. We apply that to page 1 and page 2. And you can have more parent pages, and you can also, so for example, parent C, you can have a C parent, and you can apply parent C to those pages as well if you want to include some designs on that, on this title page, for example, or whatever. Just up to you. But yeah, so what happened right now is there is no page number here, which is good for us. What we can also do is we can also update these page numbers because this has changed. So if we go to layout, update table of contents, it has updated, but unfortunately we still have to do the same thing again. But I feel like you guys know the process, so I won't go through that again for the sake of time. But you can, yeah, add in those leader values and change the distance. Also, just a quick tip, if you don't want the margins to appear, so if you don't want to see the margins for a second and just see what it would look like if it was printed out, just click W on your keyboard and you can see your actual printed out version. So just click on W to go back and W to go back. All right, lastly, how do I add in some Illustrator files? So this is quite very, very unique about InDesign. So for example, if I have my Illustrator file. So if I have my Illustrator file in my folder, like so, if I just bring it out, so this is my map graphic, and I just add it, just drag it in like so. Okay, let me just minimize this, and I can draw a frame. So for example, just over here, and it does appear there. Cool. Right. Okay, so I've added in my InDesign file, and it's been, sorry, my Illustrator file, and it's been linked. So it's not actually here, it's just been linked, and I can see all my links in this links panel over here, links tab over here. If I go to view and I go to my display performance, it's on typical, so that's why it's not clear. If I go to high quality, you can see the quality is much better now, the resolution is much better. And if I go back to my Illustrator file, so this Illustrator file, which I have open over here, let's say if I change the color of these, so if I change the color of the curb lines, if I change the color of curb lines, so if I go there and if I change the stroke to maybe like a bright, so like a dark blue, so it's just evident for us to see. And if I go back, and importantly, I have to save my Illustrator file. Okay, it's saving, it's saved. I go back to my InDesign file. I can see it's still blue here. Oh, it's blue here. But if I click over here, it's been it's been changed. Just once again, so if I go here, for example, if I go back to my layers, go back to my curb lines, okay, and if I change that to maybe, let's say, another color like a bright green, okay, okay, and I save it, saving again, and if I go back to my InDesign, it's still blue, okay, but I click on the caution, and it's changed to green. So So once you update your InDesign Illustrator file, it should update on your InDesign, and you can just go back here and just check all your information on your links. You can also just go File, Place. Sorry, where is that? File, Place to place your Illustrator file into here instead of dragging and dropping. But dragging and dropping seems like the more easier option. And so yeah, so InDesign is a collection of linked photos and Illustrator files. What that means is when you're sharing this InDesign file, this document, you can't just share it like a normal, just like sharing a normal Word document, for example. What you have to do is you have to share, you have to package it. You have to go File, Package, and that will spit out. So that will spit out a folder like this. For example, this exemplar from Luke. So we'll spit out a folder like this, and it will contain the actual InDesign file as well as the links. So maybe it's photos or graphics. And so yeah, it will contain those. And you can share this entire folder as probably like a compressed folder. You can share over on OneDrive or email. So yeah, that is And yeah, that is basically it for this quick run through of the basics of fundamentals of um, InDesign. But yeah, thanks for watching, and yeah, happy exploring in InDesign. Thank you.